few things that I want to go into, and it's something that's been so prevalent in my own life, and probably why I can talk about it so much. But I think everyone has really experienced this in some degree. And you know, the first area of this is the concept of taking that next step in your life, right? A lot of, in a more scientific or spiritual, metaphysical type term, it would be quantum jumping or quantum shifting or quantum leaping. You know, you hear this term, you're starting to hear it more often. I know there's like a seminar out there, it's like a very famous one, it's called like quantum jumping, and it's a guy who breaks down how to go through these shifts or these next step up in your life. So it can relate to any aspect of what you're doing, but generally quantum jumping or stepping into an aspect of your life is really coming from some sort of epiphany or realization or new understanding you're having about yourself, right? So you go about your life and all of a sudden, boom, you get hit with something where you're more aware. You're more aware of the habits you're doing, you're more aware of the disrespect you've had for your body, or you're more aware of I need to actually take a hold of my financial situation, or whatever that may be. All of a sudden, this new awareness brings about a new change that has to come about, because with that awareness comes a responsibility for you to go through that action and step into that new reality, right? But of course, what is accompanied by this shift is change. And generally, most people cannot stand change, right? And in the sense of change, the only reason we can't stand change is because we're in an imbalanced state. So you can kind of feel this. I guess the best, most practical example is when you either change a new job or you move, right? So say you're at a job, you find yourself into a routine, you find yourself into an ordered structure of everything that's occurring. Now, when you're making that shift into something new, what starts to uproot is the roots of everything that you based your entire life on. The way you drove to work, the way you did certain tasks, the way you talked to people, everything was like this, right? But now what's happening is you're starting to get afraid because you know that it's no longer going to be like that for that much longer, right? So you start feeling the anxiety, you start seeing the changes, you start already the process where, okay, I'm starting to scope out the new job, oh, I just had the interview, oh, okay, I got the job, now I know I only have a month left here. So you're seeing this process of unfoldment and change that's occurring. What's really happening is that in the universe, you have order and you have chaos, right? You have structure and you have flow. So because we are unable to balance both of them at the same time in each and every moment, right? So an idea of living a life, maybe like I wouldn't say a nomad, but maybe somebody that's constantly traveling, constantly experiencing new things, constantly just understanding that they can have some sort of structure, but there's never anything going to be fixated. Because anytime you fixate something too strongly, it has to get uprooted for it to grow and change, because things are always moving and changing. So in this imbalance, the reason why we have so much trouble with this is because we become so rooted in the structure, and all of a sudden we're faced with flow now. We're faced with chaos. We're faced with something that needs to change. So it's the complete opposite. But what happens is we have the epiphany, realize I gotta change the job. You go to change a job, you have to face the uncomfortable nature. But what happens is that when you go into the new job, you actually root back yourself into that old structure, into a new kind of paradigm, something that works better for you, right? But in the same sense, it's actually still a sense of, I wouldn't say imbalance, but it's still this idea that you have to be one or the other. What we need to start learning is how to be able to be both at the same time. Structure and chaos, flow and order at the same time, in a constant flow. Because what happens with this is that these jumps, because obviously nothing in anything in your life happened like this. Nothing ever is supposed to happen like that. The only reason it happens like that is generally because you've caused it that way. And normally, it causes more of a harm. You know, the things that you've been just pushing away, and then it like pushes away so much on that end, and actually comes from this end and pops you, right? And that's the thing that you were just not wanting to deal with. But generally, because you've been pushing away so much, pushing away the flow so much, it has to come back. The universe will always face you with something that you're not wanting to look at, right? So if you're always embracing change, if you're always embracing this idea that I can constantly make new changes, new improvements, new realizations about how I'm living my life, how I can treat others, etc., you won't have to face these abrupt changes, these abrupt happenings that are forcing you to face a lesson, or forcing you to face a mistake that you constantly keep repeating. Right? So, you know, generally, when this also occurs, I talked about this as well when it comes to other people, when you're facing these habits or habitual things about yourself that you're not liking, right? And you're finally realizing, okay, this is a part of me that I am aware of now, this is a part of me that I need to change, not eliminate, Because like we talked about last week with the Gaza conflict, right? Most people, when you face the Gaza conflict, you get very resistant, you get very angry, right? I'm very angry over this person, I'm condemning Israel for doing blah, 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 blah. But how many times when you've been angry, in the most extreme anger, have we thought to do the most unspeakable thing to somebody, right? And we've all thought about it. We can pretend like we haven't, but we have. So generally that is a part of you. So eliminating it and saying that's not a part of me, you're just pushing away that which is already a part of you, if you can understand. So accepting it, becoming one with it, realizing that it is a part of you, this is what allows you to constantly flow through and not be resistant by everything. Because that's generally how we are. We're resistant to how this person's acting, how this situation is, how this is occurring in our life, right? So accepting this flow, this basically you're telling the universe, you're telling your reality that, okay, when I'm facing something that I used to be, I'm not condemning it. I'm having compassion because that was me just a day ago, even. Just a day ago I was acting like this, now today I'm acting differently, and I'm not going to condemn that person because I've just changed. I'm going to learn with compassion on even how can I help this person kind of go through that flow as well. So that is this kind of testing zone where you need to look for this in your life. You need to look, where are the things I'm resistant to? Where are the things about other people that I can't stand? Those are the things you want to chase. Find those things, look for those things, because when you find them, those are just a mirror image of you. And as soon as the faster you can accept them about yourself, the easier your life is going to be. Everything is just in that mirror. So this idea of quantum jumping can happen all the time. It can happen every day, moment by moment. When I get into the next topic,